Please welcome Carol-Ann and Stacey.
Okay, so I'm Carol-Ann, and I'm a fourth-year student of medical health, which is basically a system of German medicine developed in the 19th century.
And I'm Stacey, and I'm a live blood analyst and nutritional consultant, also studying biochemistry.
Okay, so one of the most important things that we study in health is how to distinguish between the level of disturbance in an organism and the level that that disturbance is presenting itself. So a basic example would be presentation of iron deficiency. Could be physical lack, you're not getting enough iron. It could also be an issue at the functional level, your body's ability to absorb the iron.
And I was finding a lot of frustration in my practice because I was finding that when I would apply regimenal changes, I would get really good results in some cases and not in others. And so I wanted to look at disturbances on different levels and how they manifested in the blood.
And one of the models that we draw on is from Rudolf Steiner and philosophical medicine. And he studies the physical level in the organisms, which he sees as being shared with the mineral kingdom, and also the etheric or the functional level, which we share with the plant kingdom. And above that, he also recognizes the astral body, which is our desires, our animality, basically what animates us, and that is shared with the animal kingdom. And finally, he recognizes what he calls the ontic organization, which is a sense of self seen to be unique to humans. And more importantly, how all of these levels interplay to affect basic health.
So I got together with Carol-Ann when she was experiencing an emotional upset due to an issue within a relationship related to loss. And so she was experiencing physical and emotional symptoms at the time. And so we wanted to take a look at the blood and see how that manifested and how we could make changes.
So even though my practitioner, who was sort of schooled in this anthroposophical approach, discerned that the disturbance was at the level of the astral body, we wanted to see how it affected the functional and physical health.
So we took a look at her blood, and we can see here that she had a basic level of health at the physical and functional level. So she wasn't experiencing any chronic dehydration. If anything, there was a bit of an issue with protein assimilation, but other than that, there was general health. And in this area, we did find a bit of kidney stress and acute dehydration related to kidney stress. This picture shows what's called hemolysis. So it's basically the rupturing of the cell membrane, and the hemoglobin spills out into the plasma. So it's indicating that here there's a weak cell structure. And also her immune system wasn't functioning at all. And this is what's called red blood cell aggregation. So it's, basically the red blood cells are sticking together. So it's a very stagnant picture. And because the surface area is so reduced, the red blood cells can't function. So they can't take in nutrients, oxygen, water. They're just not doing a whole lot. So the next picture, this picture shows, this is layer blood analysis. So right here is Carol-Ann's fibrin structure. So that's her protein structure, her building blocks, what she uses to rebuild herself. So this should be throughout the entire sample, but there's quite a bit missing here. And so we sort of looked at it from a physical level and thought, okay, she's an O blood type, maybe she's not eating enough red meat. So we decided to increase her red meat consumption and take measures to help her digest and absorb that red meat.
And also it's helpful to know that these are regimenal advice that in the past have helped me on a physical and functional level by upping my protein intake, by taking B12 probiotics to help the assimilation of the protein.
So after a week, it got a lot worse. You can see that she has basically no fibrin structure, so no ability to rebuild herself.
So we were curious as to why this may have worked in the past to repair an issue, and in this case wasn't. And from an anthroposophical point of view, the reason is because it's a disturbance of the astral body, the desire, and they understand our desire animal body as the one that is important in catabolic aspect of digestion, breaking down protein, as opposed to functional body, which is more responsible for the anabolic phases. So we decided to go back to the drawing board and see if we could look at the same pictures from the perspective of anthroposophical medicine and see how we would be able to discern that in fact this is a disturbance happening at the astral level. The first thing that would clue us in is that there is a big discrepancy between the relative health that is apparent in this image at a functional physical level compared to the lack of basic protein structure being assimilated at all. Kidney stress is also sort of recognized in anthroposophical medicine as the area that is most affected in emotional upset. They understand emotions as a physiological exchange between our kidneys and our central nervous system, which are taxed first when that's the main issue. This would just sort of give insight into why the astral body may have been destabilized. So you can see there's a lack of ontic, there's a lack of basic self-autonomy. When one particular outlet of desire is frustrated, then the organism sort of loses its sense of self. So in order to address this frustration, we thought, okay, we'll change tax because this is sort of a dire situation. I need to be assimilating protein. So I actually took the advice of my practitioner, which was activate your aesthetic life, your desired body. Don't let it disengage, but actually stimulate that and give yourself nourishment at that level. And only after 3 days of doing that,
there's a huge improvement. So you can see the rouleau is starting to break up, and we didn't see a lot of kidney stress, and also her immune system was really starting to function. And then the red blood cell aggregation is starting to break up, and we thought it was really interesting that it was breaking up from the inside outwards. Yeah. But what we really wanted to see how her protein structure had been restored. So we took a look at her live sample, and you can see the huge difference in her fiber structure.
Which is sort of remarkable, because if it were regimenal, it would be very difficult to restore that in 3 days.
It would take more than 3 days to restore that.
So we thought that gave validation to our aesthetic as well as our regimenal life.